Greetings and salutations. And we're back with more Pal World, as you can see over there. Oh boy. Let me tell you. I didn't play it a whole lot off camera. I did play a little. Mostly built up a whole lot of arrows for the compound bow. Um, I have some certain things like the sphere module that's the sniper module. Other things like that. I need to repair some of my gear. But something occurred to me. And this is something I've noticed recently. You know how litigious Nintendo has been in the past with things specifically like Palworld, and how over the top, kind of, how do I want to put it lightly? Over the top, zealous fanaticism, litigating anything that looks remotely like Pokemon or can somehow mock it. And they've done so. Well, there's something else that's happened, and that is there is a new game kind of on the horizon. It is from the same people that made, I believe, I could be wrong here, don't quote me on this. I believe they said it was from the same people that made I almost want to say Genshin Impact, but I don't think that was it. It was it was a group in China. And the group in China that made it has the same flight mechanics, like riding mechanics the as Pokemon. So naturally, you are going to have a group immediately going to be upset with, well, Nintendo's going to be immediately upset with China for making this. It's the Hoyo Live or whatever. Anyway, they're going to be upset solely because, well, how dare they, you know, how dare they make something even remotely close to Pokemon in any way, shape, or form? Now, where I'm going to have a problem with this is if Nintendo doesn't immediately litigate it, I'm going to have a problem with that. Because then it seems like it's almost like an axe to grind against this because this was more successful. So what happened? Like, it almost makes you want to sit down and go, okay, Nintendo, you're sitting here saying this is too much, but you're sitting there saying this is fine. And I have a feeling that's exactly how it's going to end up. I have a feeling it's going to be exactly that, where they're going to almost jump to a conclusion about something, and they're not going to litigate. I guarantee they're not going to. Well, I can't guarantee, but I'm willing to bet that they're not going to litigate anything. Um, I don't think they're going to litigate the Hoyo Live. I really don't, because I don't think it's going to be identical or even remotely close to Pokemon, and I think they're just going to be like, meh, whatever. Which is really going to irk me because you take a look at how successful Pal World is, right? It was massively successful. And the reason why it was massively successful was solely because it hit the blind spot Nintendo never thought they had. I can't say Nintendo was a blanket here. Game Freak. It hit the blind spot Game Freak never knew they had. The blind spot was quite simply everybody took a look at Scarlet and Violet, and while Scarlet and Violet has some redeeming qualities, That being terrestrialization, the turn-based combat actually doesn't feel lopsided. Even in doubles, it doesn't feel lopsided like it did in Sword and Shield. I mean, I've played competitively, not in a tournament, but I've played competitively before. So to me, it's about the mechanics. I don't care about the graphics. I don't care about the whole. No, none of that matters. So the frame rate sucks. Okay, yeah, you have hardware limitations, and they were trying to work within the hardware limitations. Okay, whatever. Again, means nothing to me in that regard. However, the part that gets me is you have this group of people that's upset. I say group of people, but you have a whole bunch of people that are upset at Nintendo for litigating what they did and how they did it. You also have a whole group of people who are, to a degree, upset with Palworld for potentially the same reason. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there kind of somewhere in the middle saying, you know, they should have left it well enough alone. They should have just left Palworld alone because mechanically it's different from Scarlet and Violet. And they didn't do it because of, well, jealousy. And I think that that's a very, lack of a better term, toxic approach. And of course, people would say, what do you mean toxic approach? Well, think about it, right? Let's say you're developing a game. Let's say you specifically are developing a game. A company brings out another game, a separate company brings out a game that is very similar to yours, but not identical to yours. You, as a company, should be able to take a step back and say, well, wait a minute, why are they succeeding where I have failed? How can I make my product better in the future? What can I take away from this perspective of why they purchased another product and not my product? That level of self-reflection does not exist in the eyes of Nintendo. The only thing that exists in the eyes of Nintendo is they took our idea and they're making more money off of it, and that's unacceptable. Okay, but why is it unacceptable, Nintendo? Like, because they went and basically put it all on red and gambled, and what do you know, lo and behold, they managed to do it. Bit of a shock, isn't it? Who'd have guessed that if you gambled and put it all on red, or gambled and put it all on black, and it comes up to be a winner, that you'd win? And ideally, that's what they did with Palworld. And of course, everybody would say, well, they ripped off designs. Okay, yeah, sure. Sure. There are some designs that look like direct rip-offs. I'll give you that. I'll even let that slide. Because it's not identical. Yeah, they're close enough to identical, but what I'm saying is the game mechanics are not identical. It's not like, it's not like the game mechanics between this and Pokemon are the same. It's not like the game mechanics are... It's just, they're not the same. They're similar, but they're not identical. And it's that differentiation that this is literally like Pokemon with guns or Pokemon meets Rust. Which I don't have a problem with that. That's not something that's an issue. But have some self-awareness, Nintendo. Ask yourself where we went wrong. That's honestly what they need to do. They need to reflect on it and say, you know what? That's the mistake. The mistake was we didn't listen to the consumer. The consumer wanted A, we gave them B. And now they're moving over to product A because product A is exactly what they want. Now, this obviously Pal World is vastly different from Pokemon because you can't really have competitive Pal World matches. So obviously I will be playing, Pokemon Champions in the future just because I like that competitive aspect. Now, if Nintendo doesn't learn from this, if Nintendo doesn't learn from this litigation, which again I hope they lose, I hope Pal World wins the litigation and says, well, Pocket Pair. Oh, Pocket Pair wins the litigation against Game Freak and says, you know what? No, we filled a void in the niche that you failed to do. That's a you problem, not an us problem. And I think if that was to happen, I really think Game Freak needs to be humbled in a litigation setting over this whole ordeal. 100%. No two ways about it. But does that mean I'm going to play Pokemon Champions? Absolutely. Solely because I like the competitive aspect of Pokemon. And you can't really get that competitive aspect of Pokemon in games like Pal. It's also not available in other games too. So it really is something unique to Pokemon with the turn-based, the turn-based combat and that kind of thing. So it's just something you kind of almost grit your teeth and bear it when dealing with things like Game Freak. You kind of want to hold your nose because you don't want to be the guy to be like, yes, I'm going to continue to fund the villains that have been litigating everything. Learned Iceberg, huh? Wonder if somebody learns Titanic and then it goes full circle. No, it's just. Is that what I think it is? Is that a Mimog? Nope. It's a treasure chest. I'm just. I like the idea of Pokemon Champions because it's quite literally just built around the entire aspect of the competitive metagame. Which, again, I've always liked the competitive metagame. Okay. Probably not a good idea. Ow. So there's the Predator core I needed ages ago. Wow, that gave a ton of EXP. So now I know you can't catch those. It means anytime I see one, just drop it where it stands. I figured I'd try to catch it. Never hurts. No, the competitive aspect of the game has always been something that I've enjoyed. And I think something that really Game Freak should be open and attentive to is that aspect of that game. Is that aspect of the game. But at the same time, they need to listen to the player base. The player base in Regulation H was, I'm pretty sure, was higher than in Regulation I or in Regulation G. Regulation G had legendaries. People didn't really care for it, and I can't say I blame them. Legendaries are not fun to play against. They're not. I mean, they're fun to play with because it's like I have tons of power, but playing against it, not widely enjoyable. And then Regulation uh, H said, okay, well, we're no longer allowing people to use legendaries. And when they took away the legendaries, a lot of players obviously didn't like it because, well, we worked hard to have those legendaries, and how dare you? And then the other players did like it because, well, it tilted the game. Like, you take a look at, go through, take a look at the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 world championships on Pokemon. And when you look at the world championships, what will you find? Regulation G, the majority of players all had the exact same Pokemon with very little variation. Like, I believe it was Regulation G that 71% of the players used Flutter Mane. 71. You have 1,000 Pokemon in your entire Pokedex, but only, what, a dozen? 18 tops showed up at Worlds? 18. That's it. What's the point? Why even have 1,000? Just punch the reset button on the entire Pokedex and just put in those, put in 30 Pokemon. Just delete the rest of them. No one's using them. And that's the problem. You have a bunch of min-maxers who like to take all the enjoyment out of a game by finding the best thing with the best stats and saying, this is the standard, and if you're not using it, you lose. Pray tell, why is that the case? Why is it that I have to use the standard or be left behind? I need to finish setting up the rest of my setup here, which is like plugging in my Ripsaw plugging in my Switch and then running it properly again. Because I kind of want to get back into doing the competitive battling on video. And when I do, I want to try to build a team that utilizes none of the popular Pokemon from Regulation I. I want to try to use a team that uses none of them. And see what I can do. And really put in an earnest effort. Okay, so she doesn't want to climb there. Okay, checks out. But I don't think it's going to work, right? Not because the Pokemon's stats are bad. Don't get me wrong. There's a ton of them that their stats are absolutely incredible. But you have to face against so many of them that all have incredible stats, and you have to try to use things that are, for lack of a better term, weak, if not just downright pathetic. Which, I mean, again, that should never be the case. You should never have to sit there and be like, you know, follow the leader or get completely left in the dust. That should never be the case. Just shouldn't. Oh, right. I can't ride on Beacon. I don't have the thing. I have to go back and make the Beacon saddle. Or is it already under construction? I can't remember which. Anyway. Oh, the heat-resistant metal armor is already being made. That's right. I build a Beacon saddle. Nope. Can I build it elsewhere? Oh. Wait, I can build Meowmere. If I have 3 Predator cores, yeah. I do want to build Meowmere. I just think that if you were to get... If you were to level the playing field by making it so that you can't use legendaries anymore, and you were legitimately relegated to using what is effectively trash, to be fair. I think there'd be a lot of people that would be upset with the metagame that way. But I think there'd be a lot of people breathing a heavy sigh of relief as well. Because I don't know, it just doesn't seem like it's that. It doesn't seem fun when you have to constantly go against the same legendaries all the time. Know what I mean? Like every single time you go into a battle, you already know it's going to be this legendary running this move set with very little variation, and then you're basically sitting there being told, well, play around it. Hmm. Not fun. Let me give it an example that I guess would be more apropos for today's gaming landscape. Let's say, let's say you're gonna go in and you're gonna play um, any card game, blackjack, for example, right? You're gonna go and you're gonna play blackjack. You know the rules of blackjack. Everybody knows the rules of blackjack, except now somebody comes in and says the house is no longer allowed to deal itself lower than 20. So everything the house deals itself is either 20 or 21 without fail. They are guaranteed to either have a 20 or a 21. In all fairness, how many people would sit down and play that blackjack table? The house is going to guarantee themselves dealing the two highest hands. I don't think anybody is going to sit down to that game at all and say, "Yes, I would love to play a ripping game of blackjack where the house is going to win almost 99% of the time." Same thing, except replace Pokemon, or except replace blackjack with Pokemon. You quite literally are coming in and seeing people come in and just play the same Pokemon that have, if they're not the exact highest stats, they're literally the second highest stats. So they're either the 21 or the 20, and you have to come in with the same hand. Kind of makes it dull, doesn't it? Because it's either a draw or it's a loss. Sometimes you might get a win, but not very widely. You know, not very often. Every other time, it's like, well, you might get one, you might not. That's what I'm saying, and that's what we're at. That's exactly where we're at in this grand scheme of Pokemon. Which, of course, people would say, what's the difference? Pokemon. People don't remember the days way back when you would sit down to play Pokemon, and it was you'd want to play one of your, you'd want to play with one of your favorite Pokemon. You'd want to you really cared what team you brought to the table. It was supposed to be this cohesive, comprehensive, this is the greatest team I have put together because it has this, 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 and this. And now it's, this is a team I've put together, but it looks just like it looks just like my opponent's team because there's no different. This is a weapons assembly line, right? Oh, it's a production assembly line. I'm an idiot. Weapons assembly line's over there. Disregard. I'm not smart. $480 ingots, 160 high quality pallet oil. Wow. Does it also use handgun ammo? It does use handgun ammo. Where do you get high quality pal oil all the time? Is it just me going out and slaughtering a whole bunch of Mammorest? Interesting. I mean, I'm gonna have the ingots, as you can see there. Ingots are not the issue. Build large pal bed 2. What are these? Why am I... No, don't sleep on a pal bed, you fool. It's a fluffy pal bed. What's a large pal bed? Do I even have that technology? No, I do not. Circuit board. Carbon fiber. Where do you get quartz? Oh, I don't get that till I'm 36. Single shot rifle. SMG. Meteor launcher. Ah, okay. Because that makes sense. A mounted machine gun. Semi-auto rifle, production assembly line 2. A sword. Okay, why not just have, you know, why not just have Meowmere or whatever. Rocket launcher, 10,000 attack. Okay, sure. Item. Okay, that is actually great. Oh, herd of ferocious wild pets. Want a piece of me, boy? Ooh, that's a new one. Incineram Newt. I like you. I like the idea of getting you knocked. Sorry, Incineram knocked. Wow, they don't give flame organs. They've only got flame in their typing, but no flame organs. Okay. Really? You had to just butcher the lamb balls, dude? That was quite the interesting defense. Most of my, I think all my pals just kind of slept through it all. Like, nope, we don't even know what happened. I decided to be like a StarCraft ghost. They try to come in, and I'm just like, they'll never know what hit them. A lot of Lift Monk effigies I've noticed. Oops. Not what I wanted. And then apparently I just shot the rock. There was a boulder there, and I was just like, nope. Fine. I need him for equipment. Don't worry about it. Ooh, forgot. I might want to try him. Bushi. Wrong target, my friend. Now we're talking. Ouch. Ha 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 ha. Nice. Caught the Mammorest. Now I don't have to worry about it coming through my village again. Oh, I can't capture her. That's a shame. Back up here because I wanted to cross over, but I didn't have the beacon saddle. Now I have the beacon saddle and I can go across. That was the idea. That was the general plan. I like how they don't It doesn't cause stamina loss if you're on Beacon and you're not flying, you're just riding. Sakurajima, huh? The meteorite crashed over here. Ooh, hello. What are you? Requires kindling. Not in Kansas anymore. What is this? Coal. Okay. Rumor. Whoa. Level 45. Celine. Level 50. Yo, Beacon. We got a job to do. Ouch. Painful. Um. Okay. So that was a hyper beam. Um. And that apparently makes you hyper deceased. Here I was going, Beacon, we've got a job to do. Now we got a new job to do. That job is getting my body back. I mean, that's a shame. I didn't want to. Really didn't want to die there, but it is what it is. It's a level 50 Celine, so. Why are you wearing the fire armor? Put the ice armor back on. What are you doing? What are you carrying all this stuff for? Come on, be smart about this. Realistically, what do you need a torch for? Let's think about this, shall we? Whoa. Well, she's gone now. Dungeon. Level 52. I gotta see what's in here. I'm not ready for this, but I gotta see what's in here. Curiosity's just making me wonder. Whoa. That's cool. Oh, that's really cool. They're like shrine gates. See, now this is what I'm talking about. Nintendo. Game Freak. Where was your homage to Japan and Asian culture? I mean, look at that. You're based in Japan, Game Freak. Look at this. It's like a bonsai garden. Like, It's a Zen garden. Whoa, Bushi knocked, huh? Probably gonna die if I do that, so that's probably not a good idea. I'm a Wraith. That's cool. See, this is all I'm saying, Game Freak. This is all you had to do. Like, you didn't have to, whoops, ate too many other jam on toast. Like, you didn't have to reinvent the wheel, Game Freak. You really didn't. You just make things people want to see, make things people want to play. That's it. It's not hard. But instead, your entire group of people's like, yeah, no, you know what? We're just gonna throw a lawsuit at them because we can't make that. That's a rampaging. That's literally a rampaging over there. What level is it? Rampaging? 40? 50? That's a rampaging Elfidrin, level 55. E. Fire's kindling though. Open that chest with the kindling. Those shroomers are kind of cool. Flamethrower fuel. Last I knew, aren't flamethrowers like, how do I want to put this? Against the Geneva Convention because it's a cruel weapon? Advanced fishing spot, huh? Sure. Ha ha. King Lux. Nothing's too advanced. Another one. Vampiric. Another one. Logging foreman. Are these all King Lux, I wonder? Seems to be. But let's just do it anyway. I can grind up the rest. Oh, it's not. It's Krojiro knocked. Good thing I got him, huh? Ooh. Legendary sphere. Well, interesting. I hear that if Elfidrin. You might not be able to hear it on your end, but I can hear it on my end. When there's a rampaging uh pal around, you hear a thud, thud, thud. You hear a heartbeat of a rampaging pal. So it's kind of interesting. Definitely let you know there's one nearby, which is ooh, more fishing. Work slave and shabby. Oof. Those are not things you want to hear. Musclehead and Artisan. Should I continue to fish these out? Probably not. I get the feeling they're all going to be like Krajiro Noct and King Lux. Okay, they run away. That's good. I'm glad they run away. Otherwise, I was going to make the joke and be like, okay, Shroomer. I have to. It's a terrible joke. Why not? Um, hmm. Is there a grenade ammo? Oh, good. Because grenades. No, 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 no. Get back in the ball beacon. Sphere. Get back in your sphere. Last thing I need is you going out there and just deciding to rip the world a new one. You know what? Got it. Perfect. That one was a swift shroomer. Fast travel. That's what I was looking for. Talk about a stranger in a strange land. Holy crap. More shroomers. Assault rifle ammo and gold. That's a Grintail. Wait, are those? No. Do I really want to fight a Grintail? Not particularly. Even though I have a type advantage with Fellbat, I really don't want to fight them. I hope these people aren't hostile. I get the feeling that they might be. They are. Wait a minute. Arrogant. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're just, like, elite. They are elite. What do you want? Elzephyr Lux. Do you think I have one of those things? You gotta be absolutely out of your mind. Like, I just landed here. I mean, I feel like the orcs in the Tides of Darkness, right? I just show up on the shores. Relaxors. I have one of those. I actually opened it. Hatched it, I should say. Art Castle, Legendary Spheres, Defense Support Whistle. I mean, there's some good stuff here. If anybody can get up here and do it, do it. But, like, wow. It's craziness. What's that? That's a building. Hold on, let me go check that out. I'm also gonna grab this Liftmonk effigy. I mean, I'm headed close to the treasure chest. So I'm 1,100 away. What is this? Oh, it's just a treasure chest in a hut. Wait a minute. There's a guy here. There's a bounty. He's probably in that house, isn't he? Ooh, wait, is that a large? Is that a huge fire egg? That looks like a huge fire egg. Large scorching egg. It's close. Nimble. I bet they are too. But they're very nimble. Microgyros. I like how these Krojiros are just like neutral. The ones back on the mainland are very hostile. Ones on the mainland are just like, you looked at me wrong. You shall pay in blood. The ones here are just like, so you insulted my lineage. Eh. So have I. These ones here on this northern island are going to be referred to as Krojiro Chill. They're just chill. Ones on the main island back in the other place are just hostile. Very, very hostile. Now, if I get a silver key from here, I'm going to be miffed. I have 3 circuit boards. I am not where I should be. I should not be here at all. And so we're going to head back. We made progress, though. Quite a bit of progress. Getting those rather sizable pallets. There's Wumpa Baton. There's the Mammorest. Incineram Noct. And King Lux. You know what? We're going to do the Vampiric one instead. Because this one's just Blood of the Dragon and Mercy hit. So, it's whatever. We're going to take Shroomer and we're going to replace Dash with Shroomer. I mean, I've got too many electric types, and I do want to work more on Frostbloom. But what we're going to do is we're going to grab up these guys. We're going to put them in box 8. Yes, I've been capturing all of the bounties. Scoot, Lasso, Jade, Hawk. I need to get Dart and a couple others. But yeah, I've been collecting all of the ne'er-do-wells. There's the dog coins. Still haven't fully figured out what those are for yet. I know that they're obviously for something that I don't quite fully understand. I'll get there. I'll understand it eventually. But considering I don't understand it yet, we'll let it slide. I have so many copper keys. Like, it's not even funny. I've got copper keys for days. Oh yeah, I don't have any horns. I do. I just don't have them in that chest. I have horns in every other chest. All the organs are in there. Pal oil's in there. I don't have a place for concrete. I do now. Now I just don't have a place for circuit boards. I just threw a sphere, and it was a high quality sphere, and that makes me sad. Ah. We're gonna get rid of the cold resistant pelt armor. I think it's time. We have cold resistant metal armor. The pelt armor can go away. I need to repair my bow because it's halfway busted. Need to repair that too, and I don't have the cloth. Anyway, I'm gonna end it here. I hope everybody had fun with this video, and I kind of got sidetracked on the whole task at hand, and it didn't really talk more about the other thing, but that's okay. I get it. I want to thank everybody for watching. I had a wonderful time, and I hope you did as well. I am going to continue doing more of this off camera, and hopefully I'm going to get to 36, 37, whatever. Maybe, I don't know. Do I have to, let's see. I know there's a, that's probably where I'm headed next, is over here. I think this is like the hot territory. Maybe over here. I think I'm going to go over here next. I think that's, matter of fact, let me pin it. There. Let's make that the pin. That's where I'm headed next. But that one will be on camera. I may go off and do some stuff off camera for a bit and then come back and do that on camera. I'm not sure yet. We'll see what happens. But I hope everybody has a fantastic evening, a wonderful tomorrow, and as always, have a good one.